New videos every day.
Hi there, this is Catherine, Operation Defuse, Liberty Restoration Project, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience at the conference we just went to in New Orleans. This was my first time going to an event as a member of the media, and it was really an interesting process, and I'd like to take you all through the journey with me so you can have a little fun too. I showed up a little late. John had already arrived to the conference, and he was already in. They had sat him up with the media section, and I was in a different car, running a little bit behind. Got there, walked up to the counter and said, "Hi, my name's Catherine. I heard y'all are waiting for me. I'm with the Austin Free Press, and I'm here to go see the Attorney General speak." Well, they got a little weird and flustered, and they started telling me that they needed the editor's phone number and that they had some concerns because we hadn't pre-registered. So I give them Matt's phone number, and I'm standing there, and they call security, and this woman who was working for the event was hollering on her radio, "We need to get more security guards up here, and the hotel security who was standing there already was like, "Ma'am, I've got this, look at me. Do I look too threatening?" I think one security guard could handle me. So I had no idea what was going on, but I was standing there waiting, and sure enough, they come walking down with John and about 3 more security guards. They pulled him out of the press section and walked him back down. And we figured out that, okay, since this is our first story for the Austin Free Press, we weren't listed on the website as reporters. They probably looked at the content, got a little concerned. So they made us jump through all these hoops. Things needed to get faxed in. Phone calls had to be made. So John and I sat in the lobby for a while. And while we were sitting there, we ran into Lieutenant Hall. He's the new director of the Missouri Information Analysis Center. He's come on since the scandal that broke about this time last year with the Modern Militia Movement report. And we talked to him, had a good conversation. The people who were working at the front desk were, kind of watching. Oh, they're talking to some of the directors of some of the fusion centers. Who are these kids? And finally, all of our information got submitted, and they came running down and brought us up and sat us down, of course, walking us through the entire conference. The guy who just got pulled out by security now being walked in by security with another reporter, and sat us down in the middle of the press section, and we were able to participate in that event as a member of the media. Now, the press section was full. I don't know if it was 75, 100 people, however many, but the press section was full during the Attorney General speech. And we walked out, and at this time there were workshops that were open to the media. And immediately we were assigned to media liaisons. They were members of the FBI who were assigned to walk around with John and I. We were told that they would answer any questions that we had and secure any interviews that we needed. And we kind of looked at each other like, this is weird. I don't see media liaisons being assigned to the rest of the press. What's going on here? So they followed us around from workshop to workshop. The woman who was going with John, they attended one workshop, and John realized, Chief Carter from Austin is going to be speaking in a different workshop. So he got up to go to the other workshop, and his liaison followed him, his little FBI tail. And as soon as they walked into the workshop, sure enough, Chief Carter was talking about John, and there's John Bush right now, and the whole room turns and looks at John. So I'm sure this poor woman who was just assigned to walk around with John is like, who are these little kids that are walking around here with everyone involved in the Fusion Center recognizing them? So I walked out of my workshop where I learned some pretty scary things that I'll tell you about later when I get it all written up for the Austin Free Press article, and walked out, and my liaison was standing there waiting for me and trying to chit-chat, asking me all these questions, So, are you writing a series of stories? What kind of stories are you doing? Why are you interested in this? How'd you get involved? And I just told her. I told her everything. I told her I was profiled by the Missouri Information Analysis Center. I told her about all the instances of fraud and abuse and misuse that I had learned about during my time as a researcher, and explained that I'm just trying to understand what's going on, teach my fellow citizens what's going on, and I'm trying to influence the process so that people don't get profiled the way that I was. And it was funny to me because her face would twitch when I was talking about all the instances of abuse and misuse, and which made me want to do it more, so I kept telling more stories. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to be honest. They were obviously terrified of John and I, and there was absolutely no reason for it. So we walked through the conference. We went to every single booth of every single vendor. I had about a 30-minute long conversation with each booth, talking about their technology, talking about the law, talking about what's happening, about the fact that we're just human beings trying to get involved with what we view as our oppressors, which I think most people in America view that as well. You feel oppressed when you have to ask permission for everything you do. And it was a really interesting experience because we were the only press who stayed past the Attorney General's speech. So we were walking around, the only ones wearing press stuff, the only ones talking, engaging in conversation, the only ones picking up, literature that was sitting out on all the booths. And yes, we picked up literature from every single booth. We're going to sit down and we're going to study that. And we're going to try and get to know what products are being sold to our law enforcement community. A woman at a DHS booth told us, you want to know who's pushing the agenda here? She said, look around, go talk to all these vendors. They're the ones pushing this agenda. And I think that's happening all across the board, not just in our law enforcement community, but you have these corporate entities that are pushing for the centralization of our food industry, the centralization of our music and art cultures. So it's only natural that if it's happening all over society, that's happening in law enforcement too. And we as citizens need to be vigilant. We need to create our own media. We need to show up and ask questions. And in the end, I would say we all learned a lesson in fear. They were scared of us. We were scared of them. And we showed up and realized, hey, we're all just a bunch of human beings. In fact, there was a speaker at the event who walked up to John and I toward the end. And I don't know if he wants his name publicized, so I won't publicize it for now. But he said that he found the Liberty Restoration Project through our red light traffic camera protests, and that he hates red light cameras, and that he hopes we succeed in abolishing them and stopping the revenue generation. And through the red light traffic camera protests, he found the Operation Defuse website, and he watched the videos of us going and visiting the fusion centers. He thought it was funny, the video from New Mexico where we got a little lost. I'm going to be honest, I was upset for John for posting that on YouTube, but now I realize it shows that we're human beings. We get lost, they get lost, and we're all curious, and we're all just trying to learn. And, they were shaking John's hand. I recognize you from your YouTube videos. These people are good people, and they defended us. When the whispers were going around that the Defuse people are showing up, the Defuse people are showing up, those who had met us, those who had interacted with us, they stood up for us and said, these are good kids, these are good people. And in the end, when we were walking out, I turned to the ladies who called security, and I said, do you feel a little silly for calling security now? And they were like, yeah, maybe a little. You guys were very respectful. And I said, so were you. Thank you. And in the end, we walked away having found a happy place. We all learned a little bit more. I know I learned more about what's going on by looking at the source, by talking to the people who were implementing the horrible legislation that's being passed at the top. So just remember that. These are human beings, and while they may be implementing horrible things, aren't we all implementing horrible things by paying taxes to a corrupt government that kills people all over the globe? Aren't we implementing corrupt things by allowing them to continue to do this? It's time for us to take responsibility, not only for ourselves as citizens, but we need to take responsibility for our law enforcement. We need to be standing up for them and showing them that the people in their communities stand by their side and will stand by their side if they tell the federal government no. So get involved, have some fun doing it. We had a ton of fun. Videotape it, get it on the internet. And if you want to be a part of this project, contact any one of us. We would love to have you by our side.